play for Florida State's defense.
Florida State used their 44 yards away to do it. He got it.
Well, fuck. Here we go again. This may have been the worst season opening game since Willie Taggart lost to Virginia Tech his first year at Florida State. I have to say, there has been very few times that I have been more disappointed with a Florida State team than I was with this one.
I thought I just finished a job for you guys.
Quite frankly, this may have been the worst performance, especially defensively, that I've seen since Willie Taggart was at this team. It was awful. So I want to start off by talking about the offense. Now, I've heard a lot of people have said, and it's been on a lot of the social medias, and that is DJU needs to go. Now, I gotta say, I didn't actually think DJ was the problem here. DJ was 19 of 27 for 195 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I'm sorry, it was 193 yards. Now, a lot of the criticism around DJ was that he missed some deep throws in this game. He didn't pull the trigger on some he should have. It felt like people felt like he held on the ball a little bit too long. He really wasn't effective running, but let's clarify here. First, DJ is not a running quarterback. He will not be Jordan Travis, where he's able to outrun half of the defense and then throw the ball falling backwards 25 yards and then hope that Keon Coleman just outjumps people. I mean, that isn't a strategy for long-term success. Mike Norvell and his offense have got to find a way to be successful playing traditional football. You can't count on a guy like Travis to be Superman on every play. If that's the way Norvell expects to win, then we're going to have a hard time because you don't get a lot of Travises. Now, I thought that DJ did an all right job. I thought he took what the defense gave him. I thought he was excellent on that final drive that we were able to score a touchdown. He converted 2 fourth downs. I actually think play calling is a much bigger problem than quarterback play, running back play, or even offensive line play. Now, we've made a few changes on the offensive line coming out of the game, some changes on defense, and we'll get to the defense and we'll get to the play calling. But I thought DJU was okay. I'd give him like a B- grade. I know some people are going to be like, you're crazy, but really, if you look at it, he wasn't bad, he wasn't good. He didn't win the game for us, but he also didn't lose it for us. And I think maybe if Mike Norvell had given him more opportunities, we might have had more of a chance to see who he is. 27 passes. We had 57 plays in this game, and Mike Norvell let DJ throw on 27 of those 57. I also felt like we did a really poor job of getting the ball to our skill positions. Now, we had 27 pass attempts. Out of those 27 pass attempts, 19 were complete. Out of those completed 19 passes, 8 went to running backs and tight ends. This means we only threw like 11 balls to our wide receivers. This is not a recipe for success. We got some pretty good wide receivers. Obviously, Malik missed this game, but you got the Alabama transfer, Malik Benson. I think he played well. He got 4 balls for 40 yards, and then Ja'Kai Douglas was the best receiver in the game, 4 catches, 55 yards, averaged 13 yards per grab. The running backs did play well when they had the ball thrown to them. Both of them averaged more than 8 yards per grab. But the issue here, I think, on the offensive side of the ball was a lot to do with the running game. We had a whopping 30 carries. That includes DJ's runs, and more than a few of them were designed. So if you're going to say that just includes where he was tucking the ball, no, he had a few QB sneaks. Either way, we had 30 carries for 98 yards. That comes up to 3.22 yards per carry. That is awful. So you have two big issues there. First, we aren't able to run the ball in this game. I thought Georgia Tech did a great job of stacking the box, of coming down, of playing the run, of basically just saying, hey, look, you're not going to beat us throwing, so we're going to take the run away. I think they had a game plan to take the run away. We were great at running the football last year, so I think they had a game plan to take the run away. And I don't think Mike Norvell did a very good job of responding to that. Tech was playing downhill all night. They were in the backfield all game. They were just attacking and attacking and attacking. There was never a point where Florida State made that defense hesitate or wonder what was coming next. And that is a big time problem. And that was a Mike Norvell problem, as he was doing a lot of the play calling in this game. And I have to say, I've completely undersold Alex Atkins. I thought that Norvell was the reason our offense had been so successful a year ago. I was wrong. Atkins is a very good play caller. He has a very good head for the game. He understands when to be aggressive. Norvell is too conservative as a play caller. I actually thought all those fourth down attempts were Norvell, and now I see Atkins is just a lot more aggressive than Norvell is. And that's great if you have the right play for a fourth down conversion. Another real notable thing coming out of the game is Cam Davis, five-star running back out of Georgia, who was committed to Georgia, who basically everybody wanted. He was one of the top 15 total players. He had 2 opportunities in this game. That's it. He was in on maybe a half dozen plays, but he got 1 carry for no yards, which was disappointing. I was sort of kind of hoping to see what he had. And he had 1 big-time drop that would have set up would have turned into a 3rd and I think 11 into like a 3rd and 3, which could have potentially changed the game, because every possession matters in a game where you only have 7 total possessions. But this offense was stagnant. It was probably the worst we've seen Florida State's offense be in a while, and I think it all comes back to the play call. This is my main focus for this video on the offensive side. The play calling was completely awful.
You suck! You suck! You suck today, you sucked! I wanna fucking kill you all for wasting all my time! It's the worst day of my life since my father died! You suck! You suck! You suck! You suck!
Now I want to start with play selection. Play selection is a very, very underrated aspect of any play caller. And Mike Norvell did a piss-poor job. And I'm saying Mike Norvell because Mike Norvell calls the majority of the offensive plays. Even when Alex Atkins is there, Mike Norvell calls a lot of the offensive plays. But it's clear that Atkins has some input, because this was the worst of Mike Norvell. Last year, I criticized Mike Norvell for becoming far too conservative later in the season. After about that Pittsburgh game on, he had become incredibly conservative. Wish he didn't start Jordan Travis against North Alabama. Other than that, he had become incredibly conservative. His play calling was run first, run second, run third, run fourth, and basically just run, and rely on a really good defense with a lot of talent to actually just carry the team. Now, you might argue that once Travis got hurt, it made more sense, but he was already becoming conservative before then. He was fairly conservative against Miami. He was unreasonably conservative against Pittsburgh. He was very conservative against Florida. I mean, I know he was real conservative against Louisville, but that was okay. We didn't have any quarterback in that game. But his play calling had become quite conservative, and I was very concerned that this may become a pattern. This idea, we saw it happen to Jimbo too, this idea that I have the spear on the helmet, I have more talent than you, so if I don't beat myself, you can't beat me. And you know, for a long time, that was 100% true, because the talent level between a Florida State and a Georgia Tech was like a 9 to a freaking 1. Now a talent level between a Florida State and a Georgia Tech is like a fucking 8 to a 6. Now, it's still more talent, but it's not enough where you can just roll the helmet out in the middle of the field and be like, yep, we're here. But I felt like the game plan was a lot like that. So I digress. The play selection here was awful. It was awful. So we ran the ball 30 times and threw 27. Now, this was a big mistake. We threw the ball for about 8 yards per attempt. I think, for the most part, when DJ had time to throw, I think he was pretty decent. Now, he got sacked a few times. There was a couple sacks where the receivers open downfield, and maybe if he had another minute, he would have made a very big play. There was even one third down where Georgia Tech blitzed 3 players, so they rushed 7, and the running back, I think it was Lawrence Tolfeely, completely whiffed on his block. Now, if he gets his block, if he stuffs that linebacker and he gave DJ about 3 seconds to throw that football, if DJ could float out of that way of that linebacker and just get the ball off, he had a guy that was coming open that would have been a touchdown. Unfortunately, Georgia Tech just seemed to be way ahead on everything they did. That was one of the problems here, is Florida State was very predictable. They were very predictable. So 30 carries, 3.2 yards. It didn't make sense. I was scratching my head. We should have had, in the second half of that game, we should have had, I don't know, we should have had 40 passes in that game. Out of the 57 attempts we had with the football, the 57 plays we had, 40 of them should have been passes. The running game was not working, with the exception of the first drive where we flew down the field and scored an easy touchdown before it started raining. Now, I know some of my fellow Seminole fans are going to make comments about the wet field. And yes, it was definitely a factor. Before it started raining, Florida State flew down the field like it was on easy mode. And once the field got wet and slick, we really struggled to move the ball offensively. That is very unfortunate. But as Mike Norvell said in his press conference today, they had to play on the same wet field. They did better than we did, and they won the football game. So it's really not important because everyone's playing on the same field. Yes, it favors Georgia Tech, but when you are that much better, or we're supposed to be that much better, we're supposed to be like the shoe-in ACC champion, we're supposed to go to the playoffs, maybe you win a playoff game, we're supposed to be going to the SEC or Big Ten in 2 years, we're supposed to be Florida State, and those guys, for this one game, those guys were a disgrace to the uniform. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to keep being that, but for this one game, that team was a disgrace for the helmet and uniform they're wearing. They were a disgrace to the players who came before them. They were a disgrace to everybody because it just was the effort just wasn't there, especially on defense. We'll get to that. The other issue I had with the play calling was these really insanely stupid, something that has maybe the biggest pet peeve of mine. It makes me so angry, and that is QB sneaks out of shotgun. Whoever thought of this, whoever thought of putting a QB sneak in the shotgun needs to be just like freaking time machined and then fired before they ever had a chance to come up with this stupid fucking idea. The point of a QB sneak is that you need 1 yard and you just want to go forward. Why on fuck earth would you want to go backwards before you go forwards? Why would you want to take something that when you need 1 yard and make it 8? Also, given the way that Georgia Tech was coming downfield and how little of a threat DJU is as a runner, this is just awful play calling, especially when you consider how unbelievably hard Roy Dale Williams runs. We saw a few times where Roy Dale would get hit in the backfield and still fight forward for 2 or 3 yards. So, for fuck's sake, just give the ball to Roy Dale Williams. Just line up in the I formation and give the ball to Roy Dale and say, hey, big man, you go get that first down, or we're not giving it to you next time. We're going to put in freaking Cam Davis or Lawrence Tolfeely. Get the first down, or you don't get the ball next time it's 4th down, or next time it's 3rd down. That's all you got to do. But instead, we got freaking DJU taking a snap from 8 yards deep and then trying to pick up a first down. It's awful play calling. If this is a decision made by Mike Norvell and not the offensive line coach turned offensive coordinator, then I swear to God, the average NCAA football player could call a game better than that. That is awful. The other thing was his stubborn refusal to get away from the running game. It wasn't working. Tech was winning. Our offensive line got their asses kicked. They were embarrassed. They were not pushing back Georgia Tech at all. And we just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. He's like Mike Norvell looked like an angry NCAA player who thought, oh, I'm going to run. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I'm going to run. Oh, fuck you. I had the better team. I'm going to run again. And that's it. Run, 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 run. There was one series, and it was on the last drive of the game. He runs on first down, we get 2 yards. He runs on second down, we get no yards. On third down, he runs again, and we get nothing.
You done fucked it up. Fix this shit now.
And then he decides to let DJ throw on 4th and 8, and he makes a fantastic throw to set up 1st and goal. And you're like, where has this been? I would have rather lost this game trying to win it than lost it just because you didn't want to lose it. You know, us Noles fans sometimes criticize Norvell for being too aggressive early in his career, but bring back the old Norvell. Bring back the guy who was willing to go for it on 4th down and 1 inside our own 28-yard line. Because that guy was at least fun to watch, and we won games with him. This guy is going to die slowly all year. So the tragic play calling, I think, is the biggest reason we lost. But now we have to talk about the defense. My God, our defense fucking sucked in this game.
It's our first game, so let's set the tone for the rest of the season. Moran, is there anything you'd like to say to your team?
Yeah. Let's go out there and score some points. But at the same time, we stop them from scoring points.
Worst performance by our defense in a very, very long time. I mean, I have a tough time finding anyone on our defense to even say anything nice about. So I'm gonna take some minutes to talk about a couple of the players here. Let's start with Patrick Payton. Now, if you don't remember, Payton was completely gone. He wanted to transfer. He actually entered the portal and even said he was going to go to Colorado before we offered him an absolute insane amount of money for his position to come back. I think this might have been a mistake. Payton was freaking terrible in this game. Absolutely terrible. There's a play here where it's a simple zone read. It's on the goal line, and you see the quarterback decides to keep it, but Payton just kind of stands there. He just kind of completely stands there. But Patrick Payton just stands there. He walks by the quarterback. 2 questions. First of all, what the hell is he even doing? He runs himself out of the play. I mean, if the quarterback is handing the ball to the running back, why is your ass not turning around to find the running back? Secondly, why aren't you at least hugging the quarterback? There's no rule that says you can't touch the quarterback. Instead, he just stands there, lets the quarterback walk by him, and get in the end zone. Hell, I don't know how much we paid Patrick Payton to come back, but I guarantee you it was too damn much. Need to send this guy back to the damn transfer portal. Let Dion have him. If this is the effort we're going to get for him, send his ass to the bench. Can you get a damn refund? And it wasn't just this one play. Payton was terrible for the entire game. He would get in the backfield. He gave lazy effort. I saw one of the guys try to tackle someone with their back. I mean, this was disgusting. This was disgusting effort by our defense. The defense deserves nothing but scorn for this game. Now, we shouldn't attack them constantly. It was one game. I think it's the first loss in like 20 games if you exclude the Orange Bowl. So maybe we shouldn't freak out over it because it just makes us look like entitled assholes. But my God, at least try. That's all I ask. I mean, shit, I'd kill to play football for Florida State. Literally. And these fucking guys can't even be asked to give effort at all. Like, what, you think you can just stand there and take half of the plays off and we're gonna win? This is Georgia Tech Super Bowl. They don't care who you are. They're here to win. This is week 1. Georgia Tech wants to go to the fucking playoffs. I mean, you think you deserve to be in the playoffs. Georgia Tech wants to earn the playoffs. You ain't done nothing. No one on this team has done nothing. Those guys who made that team great last year are gone. Unless these guys figure that out, then we're going to continue to have a miserable season. Let's talk about DJ Lundy. Now, DJ Lundy, another guy we had to give an absolute fuck ton of money to get back. By the way, I thought Billy Nelson played better in this game and the limited snaps they gave him. This fucking Lundy was awful in this game. He had a couple plays where he got in the back and he made tackles, but for the most part, he was terrible. He was slow on reacting. He was really poor in run fit, oftentimes taking the wrong gap, allowing the running back to take the inside gap, the one he wanted to go through. He struggled when he blitzed. He didn't get to the quarterback. He failed to get the quarterback down. He took very bad angles. And then there's this fumble here, as you see. And this fumble, which you'll notice is number 13, selflessly slaps the ball away from the quarterback so he can't recover it. But what does Lundy do? Oh, he tries to pick it up and run with it. Fall on the fucking football. This would have changed the game. If Lundy falls on this ball like I know he's coached to, like I know he's told to, if he falls on this fucking football, the Georgia Tech has one less touchdown. They're driving down to try to tie the game and not win it. We probably win this game if DJ Lundy just falls on the football instead of trying to pick it up. This is what Mike Norvell calls a selfish play. This was about DJ Lundy scoring a touchdown, not about his team. This was about him being the hero. He was seeing visions in his head of being in the bright lights, picking up the fumble, returning it for a touchdown, and sealing the game, pulling away. But Florida State have a 2-score lead. Game's over. We've won. But instead, he's going to freaking just, this was awful. Absolutely awful. And Lundy was awful the whole game. Mind-bogglingly, Adam Fuller decided to remove Ernest Littlefield II, another Alabama transfer, in lieu of Kevin Noles. And I don't understand why. Kevin Noles has never been that good of a player. Maybe he's better in run support than he is as a corner, but on that very, very, very critical 3rd down, and I think it was 10 after the sack, it was Christian Noles who got beat when Marv Jones Jr. gets in like in 1 second. All Noles has to do is hold up for like 2.5 seconds, and Georgia Tech's quarterback's eating turf, and Florida State again wins the game because Georgia Tech would have punted there. But I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at the stat line of Patrick Payton. I was just criticizing him. He has 1 assisted tackle. 1 assisted tackle. Look at the stat line of Joshua Farmer and Daryl Jackson. Daryl Jackson has 2 assisted tackles. Joshua Farmer has 1 tackle. Patrick Payton has 1 assisted tackle. Now, Marv Jones Jr. had a tackle and an assisted tackle. But that is ridiculous. This defensive line was supposed to be the strength of the team. People were saying before the game started, hey, this defensive line, they're going to be really good. This defensive line could have as many as 4 players taken in the top 100 in the NFL draft. Well, they were dog shit. You know, some people, if you give them money, they step up, they play hard, they prove they are worth that money, they bust their ass. Other people, if you give them money, they fucking suck because they get lazy. And that's what we saw here. Now, I have to point out Shaheem Brown up here. Shaheem Brown had a great game. 9 tackles, 4 assisted tackles. That's like 13 total tackles. Lundy also had a bunch of tackles, but they were all way downfield. We need better play from Lundy. Zarian Thomas had a great debut. He had 4 tackles. He even had some really good plays in the game. Marv Jones Jr., you would think, didn't even play in the game. He was so invisible. Kevin Noles got beat on the biggest defensive play of the entire game and looked like he couldn't play football. He always looks like he can't play football. Overall, the defense was awful. They embarrassed me. They embarrassed all Seminole fans. Their effort wasn't there. You know, all Mike Norvell asked of these guys is to give effort, to play well, to play up to the level. And this just wasn't there. And I'm not saying the whole defense. A lot of those guys were busting their ass out there. I felt like Zarian Thomas played really hard. I felt like Shaheem Brown played really hard. I felt like DJ Lundy played really hard, although he did a bad job of understanding where he was supposed to be. It was only guys like Patrick Payton that I thought really stand out. Patrick Payton stood out the most to me as just being just useless in this game. Okay, I guess Ernest Little II must have played shitty too. I didn't even see him in the game, but he's been benched. Noles will be starting in that position. He's been so benched, actually, he's been completely just like taken out of the rotation. Also, Brown has been completely removed from the rotation as well and replaced with Conrad Hussey. Now, this is my opinion on that. Why the hell wasn't Conrad Hussey already playing? We saw him last year as a true freshman. He made some really big plays. He gave an incredible efforts every time he's on the field. He's a very good player, very talented. Yes, he'll make some mistakes. He's young, but I'd rather have someone make mistakes than the effort we saw out there this week. And that's kind of the way I see it. This team was terrible. They embarrassed pretty much all of us. You know, we spend our money on these games. We enjoy them. Always be a Seminole fan, but my God, come on, guys. So I wanted to talk about the outlook for the team. Now, I didn't do a schedule prediction this year, mostly because I was a little bit over YouTube at the time. Also because this is just a ridiculous year, and it's going to be really hard to do a schedule prediction because I don't know. I mean, with too many transfers, essentially, we tried to build an entire team for free agency. And I, honest to God, don't know. So I think if I had done a schedule prediction, I probably would have gone somewhere along the lines of 11-1 or 10-2. I think a lot of people probably would have jumped on that bandwagon, 11-1 or 10-2. I mean, I think we had, like, at one point, a 3-1 chance of winning the ACC. Everybody was pretty high on this team. We have Mike Norvell. He's proven himself as one of the best coaches. I mean, it was supposed to be one of those years. This is the year, really. This was supposed to be the year that proved that Mike Norvell was the right guy. It was supposed to be that year. Unfortunately, Alabama came sniffing around, so we had to pay Mike Norvell a year early. So we had to give him the money now. We couldn't wait, because if we did, Alabama would have stored him. And this is really a prove-it year for him. Last year, we had like the most seniors of any team in the country. So can you bounce back from losing all that talent? So far, the answer is no, but it's only one game. So my outlook now is changed. So I would have gone with, I would have said a floor of 10-2, a ceiling of 12-0. Now I'm thinking most likely a ceiling of 10-2, but most likely I'd say a floor of 8-4 is probably accurate. I'm going to say probably in the middle. My prediction now is 9-3. Don't think we're going to win the ACC. Don't think we're going to get a playoff spot. I think we'll end up in a bowl game. 9-3 is not awful, but it's definitely not going to be good enough to get us into one of those playoff spots. Even though we play Clemson, we play Miami, we play Notre Dame, we play Florida. It doesn't matter. You saw it last year. We had an undefeated regular season. Wasn't good enough for a playoff bid. And if that wasn't good enough for a playoff bid, 9-3, even if we play teams like Clemson, even if Georgia Tech goes undefeated, would not be enough to get us into one of those playoff spots. They will make sure we're at 13. Actually, I don't know if 10-2 will be good enough to get us into one of those playoff spots. It's likely we'd only get in if we won the ACC. We've seen how they feel about Florida State. You can't argue at this point. They are biased against the Noles, and there is no argument that can be made. One more thing before I sign off here. I wanted to address the out-of-bounds controversy. So I looked this up, because if you noticed in the fourth quarter of that game, with under 2 minutes, every time Georgia Tech went out of bounds, the clock kept running. I wanted they change that rule. They have not changed that rule. Here is the picture here to show they have not changed that rule. Every time Tech went out of bounds, the clock should have stopped. This right here is complete bullshit. This is what I was expecting. This is the ACC screwing us. This is ridiculous. I mean, he went out of bounds on that last drive. Florida State should have had around 50 seconds to go down the field and score a touchdown or kick a field goal to tie this game. Now, I could go on a psycho rant about this. This is fucking ridiculous, and it's even more ridiculous that literally nobody is talking about it. I mean, this is kind of the problem with modern America in general. These media companies are fucking useless. ESPN hates Florida State. They made it clear last year they hate Florida State. They want Florida State to be a second-tier team. They damn sure ain't bringing up the fact that the officials may have cost Florida State the game with some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. The game's over. We can't go backwards. So that's all there is to it. We lost. Is the season over? No. My initial response is burn it all down. Season's over. Season's not over. There's playoffs. We can still get into the playoffs. Now, if we do bad on Monday Night Football at home against Boston College, then the season's over, because you could make a lot of arguments for this game. There was bad officiating, the field was wet, the freaking trip overseas, the partying, the drinking, what the fuck ever. But there is no excuses for next week. Next week is in Tallahassee. It's a team like Boston College, which basically has never beaten us since they joined the ACC. They almost beat us last year, though. If Norvell can't get this team ready to play, I do believe Mike Norvell will figure this out if he has to bench every player on this team and find random fans to play defense. But it may be too little too late by the time he figures out which one of these players actually want to play. Anyway, thanks for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll come back next week. We're going to do a recap of the Boston College game. Thanks again, and as always, this is the Damn Nerd, signing out.